Hi everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys enjoyed your spring break. What we need to do, we're getting right to business. We are going to be doing lesson 6-2. However, before we start, we do need to do a little bit of reviewing of 6-1. This was from before break, and you guys had just some homework things that I looked at and I graded, and I just need to point out a few things, just some mistakes that I saw. All right. And this week, you guys we're going to be doing 6-2, but we're going to be reviewing 6-1. So let's just think back to 6-1. Let's just kind of ease into this a little bit before I send your brains into shock. All right. So 3x to the fourth minus 21x. We talked about greatest common factor. What can you take out? For this one, should take out a 3x. You're left with x cubed minus 7. All right, so let's take a look at this one. This is when I need to point something out. If we have negative 24 x squared y cubed plus 16 xy squared plus 8xy. Now, in this section, what we need to do, and this is something that I did see on a lot of your papers, is the first term in parentheses, you're in control of the problem. You want it to be a positive. So since this first term is a negative, you should take out a negative 8xy as your greatest common factor. So now in parentheses, you would have a positive 3xy squared minus 2y plus, and here's another thing I noticed, some of you forgot the 1. Okay, if you have 3 terms in your problem, you should have your 3 terms in your answer. Okay, so please make sure, if you're in control of the problem like you are, that the first term in the parentheses, if it's all possible, you should keep it positive. All right. Okay, so let's try this one. All right, this one we did by grouping. So this one, 3x squared plus 4xy minus 3x minus 4y. Now, at any time, if you just want to hit pause and work it out by yourself and then check what I did, that is fine. Okay, so remember, this one we grouped. We took out of the first two. The only thing in common was an x. So then I am left with 3x plus 4y. And remember, you want your two parentheses to be the same, so you really want this one to be 3x plus 4y, which means you're going to have to take out the negative 1. And then for your final answer, the 2 on the outside, so the x minus 1, and then the 3x plus 4y. Okay, so just make sure of that. Now, the order of the parentheses doesn't matter, but again, look, the 2 terms, okay, first 2 terms are positive. All right, let's try one more in this section, because this I also noticed on the last assignment I had you do. If we have this, 12x squared y minus 42x squared minus 4y plus 14. Here's what some of you forgot. The greatest common factor first. Okay, remember to look for that greatest common factor. So if you look at all 4 of these terms, you should have noticed you can take out a 2 before you even start. And then you have 6x squared y minus 21x squared minus 2y plus 7. Then you continue with the grouping. So then, okay, out of the first 2, I would take out a 3x squared, and then I'm left with 2y minus 7. Now remember, we talked, you want this parenthesis to be 2y minus 7, so you're going to have to take out the negative 1. Now be careful, because your final answer for this one, the 2 on the outside, and then the 3x squared minus 1, and the 2y minus 7. And that's your final answer. Now again, if you're struggling in this section, go back to section 6.1 in your book. Look at the examples. They're actually really, really good. Okay? Most of you did really well. It was just those few things that I pointed out. So I just wanted to make sure that we're good. All right. So now, let's begin lesson 6.2. Hopefully you took my advice and you read the pages that I asked you to read, because this will be so much easier if you looked at those problems. All right, factoring trinomials. I also had you stop after a certain, I think it was after example 9, because I'm kind of teaching you, and Miss Leslie and I both, like what the high school is going to expect. And they're going to expect that you're just guessing and checking. All right, so here we go. And at any point in time, even if I don't say it in the video, pause, try the problem, and then, come back and join me. All right, so let me talk you through this one. X squared plus 4x plus 3. All right, so step 1, greatest common factor, there is not one. All right, so now you're trying to break this down into 2 parentheses. Start with the first term, x. In order to get x, you would multiply x times x. So now, in order to get 3, your only options to get 3 is 1 times 3. So I start off with a really easy one. So a 1 and a 3. Now, it needs to multiply to get 3, but add and subtract to get 4. So they would both have to be positives to get the 4x. Now, I'm not sure if the book talked about this, but you can check these. Foil it back out really quickly. X squared, outer, plus 3x, plus 1x, plus 3. Check your middle term. Okay, it worked. Check. So there is a check system for this, okay? So it really is worth the time to foil it back out. Let's try another one. Okay, so now x squared plus 7x plus 12. All right, so first we start with the x. We know we want to break it down to 2 parentheses, so this one's going to be an x, this one's going to be an x. All right, so now we need to come up with our factors of 12. So your choices, 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4. Now, my work over here to the side, like this is the part that eventually you can be doing in your head. I'm just showing you the thought process. All right, so those are my possibilities to multiply to get 12, but it needs to add up to be 7. Is there a combination of numbers that when you add or subtract them get 7? Should have picked 3 times 4. All right, now let's look at your signs. You want them to multiply to be a positive 12, add or subtract to be a positive 7, so they both need to be positive. So again, foil it really quick. X squared plus 4x plus 3x plus 12, you got your middle term. Perfect, check. All right, let's try this one. X squared minus 12x plus 35. Now for this one, hit pause, and I want you to work through the process in your head, and then join me again. All right, so here's what we had to do. 35, what are your factors? 1 times 35, 7 times 5. Multiply to 35, but this time it has to add to be a negative 12. All right, so your only combination would be 7 and 5. So this one's a little tricky. All right, you know you have 7, you know you have 5. Now the key is, are these both pluses? Are these both minuses? Or is it one of each? Now in order to get a positive, when you multiply, it's either got to be a positive times a positive or a negative times a negative. So these are both going to have to be negatives so that when you FOIL it out, x squared minus 5x minus 7x plus 35, positive 35, and when you put these two together, negative 12x. All right, let's try another. With these, it really comes down to you just have to practice, and I know this sounds weird, but I promise you, you will eventually just start to see the combinations of numbers. And this is where I wish we were in class because like you just kind of know. All right, so here we go. X squared minus 13x plus 22. Hit pause. See if you can do this one. All right. Let's see if you got an answer now. For 22, your choices are 1 and 22, 2 and 11. So again, I picked 2 and 11. So 11, 2, and now I've got to look at my signs. When you multiply, it's a positive, but here you need a negative, so these both have to be negative. And there is a pattern with the signs. You just kind of need to start seeing it. All right, what about this one? X squared minus 4x minus 12. See if you can do this one. All right, so now for this one, for 12, you have 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. Now this time, however, it's a negative 12. So that means one of them has to be a positive, one of them has to be a negative. And here is where it really comes down to guess, check, try again. XX. All right, so we know that we need it to be 12 and one of the combinations to get a 4. So we know it's got to be 2 and 6. So now the key is which one's the positive, which one's the negative, because it has to be one of each to get a negative when you multiply. Hopefully you picked the 6 is negative, the 2 is positive. And like I said, this turns into guess, check, try again. All right, I want you to try this one, okay? But here's what I want you to do this time. I want you to hit pause and I want you to time yourself. I want to see how much time did it take and how many tries did it take. Okay, so hit pause and try it. Okay, so let's see if you got the answer. All right, you should have had, because this is a negative, all right, and this one's a negative, one has to be a negative, one has to be a positive. You should have had x minus 7, x plus 6, because 7 times 6, 42, and then you need the negative 7 when you FOIL it out. All right, hopefully you're doing okay with this. So now we get to number 7, and I really need you to look at this one before you start. 3m squared minus 24m minus 60. Anybody looking at the three numbers, what is the first thing you should do before you start guessing and checking? All right, hopefully you guessed. Take out the greatest common factor first, if there is one. So the greatest common factor here was a 3. You're left with m squared minus 8m minus 20. And then you continue like normal. Keep the 3 on the outside though. Okay, you know this is going to be an m. This is going to be an m. Since the sign is a negative, you know that one's going to have to be a negative, one's going to have to be a positive. Combination, multiply to be 20, but add and subtract to be negative 8. You should have gotten negative 10, positive 2. All right, so let's look at this one. We've got just a few more just to kind of practice. I'm trying to kind of show you everything you're going to run into. Now, this one. Negative 13g squared plus 36g plus g cubed. I haven't made a big deal about the order. However, it does make your life easier if you put your order when you're doing these trinomials from like by degree, greatest to least. So I would first rewrite this one, g cubed minus 13g squared plus 36g. Now again, you should look at the three terms and you should right away notice, oh my goodness, I have a greatest common factor I should take out. Take out the g. G squared minus 13g plus 36. All right, so then you need a g. All right, so now let's strategically think about this. To get a positive 36, say they either have to be both positive or both negative. However, in order to get a negative here, okay, you need them to be negatives. So negative, negative, and then go back to 36. What are your combinations of 36? But when you add and subtract, get you 13. Hopefully you did minus 4, minus 9. Now, if you did G and you did G minus 9, G minus 4, no big deal. Like that's the exact same answer. Both of those answers are perfect. Okay? All right. Let's go to number 9. Just got a couple more. What if I give you this one? Negative r squared plus 14r minus 45. Every single one we've done so far, the first 8, you should have noticed this first term was what? Positive. So, step 1 for this, take out the negative 1, r squared minus 14r plus 45. Then go through and factor. Okay, take out the negative 1, r. Anybody have it already? Should be minus 9 minus 5. 9 and 5 give you 45. 9 and 5 when you add it give you negative 14. All right, 2 more, and then I promise we are done. Okay, see if you can do this one. A squared minus 10ab plus 16b squared. So hit pause, do this one, and then come back. Hopefully you noticed I had an A and a B this time. All right, so here's the only difference. When you go to start A, your second term's going to have a B. No big deal, just has a B. Still focus on the signs, the numbers. Okay, positive, but this one's a negative. So in order to have a positive, they're either both positive or both negative. But since this one's a negative, they're both going to have to be negative. You should have come up with 2b and 8b. And again, you could have those flipped. All right, last one I promise for today. I know this is a long video. Thank you for sticking with me. X squared plus 2x plus 10. Hit pause. See how long it takes, how many tries. Does anybody have an answer? Okay, so this one, it's already simplified. It's in simplified form. Your answer is prime. So here's the problem. As soon as I introduce prime, everybody gets a little prime happy. As soon as they try something once, oh, it didn't work, must be prime. Or they try it twice, oh, it didn't work, must be prime. Be careful. Like, I'm not going to give you a homework assignment that has like 10 out of 15 prime answers. All right, so be careful. Now, tonight, you do have homework in the book. All right, and I am asking you to do the odds. I know I'm asking you to do the odds because I want you to check the back of the book. Like tonight, I just need you to practice. What I would almost encourage you also to do is to set a timer. See how long it takes. All right, so once you're done practicing the odds, you've checked the back of the book, I just need you to submit it. Tonight's is just for a completion grade because I just need you to practice. Tomorrow, you'll have another assignment. Okay, it'll be an accuracy grade that I check. And also, tomorrow I'm planning to do a Zoom help session. All right, just if you want to ask questions, if you need some extra practice, whatever you need. So, do your best tonight. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye bye.